Okay, so forget everything that you thought you knew about staging and let's start all over. So I've seen the shows. HGTV sometimes shows that houses that are really just a full renovation are staged. So staging doesn't necessarily need to be like this huge complication and this huge makeover, and it doesn't need to be so expensive as they're showing on these shows. We can do it pretty inexpensively using items that you already have in your home and just sort of rearrange them to be in a more pleasing manner. And what I mean by that is the way that you live in a house and the way that you sell a house are two totally different things. So when you sell your house, you are actually turning your home into a marketable product. So think about a builder's model home. Like when you go into a builder's model home, it's just gorgeous. It evokes a lot of feelings, and builders have spent millions of dollars on designers to figure out what it does, what it takes to touch the heart of a buyer and have them not only make an offer, but stick through it through the tenuous things that can happen during the transaction. So things like the home inspection come upon us, and if the buyer is not adequately prepared for what could be in the home inspection, they feel a lot of fear and they no longer want to buy the house and they back out of the transaction. So by staging, we want to keep that emotional connection. Like people don't buy doors and windows. They buy a feeling, they buy a lifestyle, they buy how they think they will feel by living in this house. So we want to always keep that in mind, because it's not just the home inspection, it's also the appraisal. So if the appraisal comes in low, we need to have them emotionally connected enough to stay with the transaction and possibly bring some money to the table. And we don't want them to back out of the contract. So I'm seeing so much fallout now. Like fallout is like the worst thing that is I see happening in sellers right now, because people are making offers emotionally. They're making them without really thinking a lot through it, and then once the offer is accepted, they feel scared and they're like, oh, I must have paid too much. That's why my offer was accepted, and they are looking for ways to back out of the contract. So by pricing correctly and by staging, you will have a buyer not only make an offer on your house and sell your house for the highest amount in the shortest amount of time, but also keep them through these very emotional, impactful moments in the transaction from contract to closing. The way that you live in a house and the way that you sell a house are two different things. So when we work together as a seller and agent team, I will go through your house with you room by room, and we will decide. So we will together go through your home and figure out what needs to go, what can stay, and what we need to bring more of. So this is what I recommend for you to do with staging. Start by making piles. Go through your things, figure out, I haven't used this in so long. I didn't even know I have it. And that goes into one pile to go to Goodwill. The next pile that you make is things that you're like, I'm going to be moving soon. So staging is sort of like pre-packing. So you are going to pack up some of those things and store them. So when you go to your next house, you still have them, you still want them. There's still things that you're going to use, but things that you won't use in the next 60 to 90 days or so. Then once that's done, what we need to do is to set up very pleasing scenarios. Like when you go into the builder's model home, you see things like you can just imagine yourself living there because there's like a coffee cup on the table, or there is board games being displayed, like things like that. Staging is really like not only showing the purpose of each room and really evoking like the imagination of the buyer, but also to sort of show people the sort of lifestyle that they can have by living in that home. So the 3 C's of staging are clean, clutter, and color. So with cleaning is the number one thing that you need to do to prepare your home for sale. So whether you bring in someone professionally, if you need a recommendation, I have recommendations of everyone that we could possibly need throughout the transaction. So if you need a cleaning recommendation, let me know. I have people that I work with that are trustworthy and will come at a good price. So with the cleaning, you can either hire someone or clean on your own, but either way, the house needs a good scrub. So the way that we live, we sometimes overlook things like a bathroom that's not totally pristine, So bathrooms and kitchens, it's very important to have them as clean as possible. And whether you do it on your own or you hire someone, they both need a good scrub. So I recommend just giving the whole entire house a great scrub, and that's really going to help a lot with staging. Secondarily, clutter. So we all have so much stuff. We have more stuff than we know. We have more stuff than we think that we do. So what I would recommend is going through, looking at your collections, disassembling them, putting them in boxes to go into storage. So collections can be family photos. A lot of us have way too many pictures, way too much stuff on every surface of our house. So think about what you won't be using, and we can even relocate that. So as we're staging, you will have things coming out of closets, coming out of cabinets, and even if it's something that you use sometimes, like say a juicer, and you only use it like 3 times a week, but you don't want to pack it away. Things like that we need to get off the countertops and into a cabinet or a closet where they're hidden away and the kitchen looks very clutter-free. Just again, I always go back to the builder's model home, but it's such a good example because they have spent so much money figuring out why buyers buy, and that's it, because the way that they feel. And so we want to have buyers that can mentally envision themselves living in your house. And when there are lots of things around on the countertops and lots of things that are personal to you, they have trouble. So we really want them to be able to imagine themselves living in this space, enjoying it, having it as their own. So the third thing is color. So I've been in houses that had all different colors in all of the bedrooms, and really what we want to have is, there was a color called off-white that's now called grayish. All right, it's a combination between gray and beige. So it's not a name brand. What I would recommend is, for a name brand, is Sherwin-Williams Alabaster White, and it is off-white. It's a little bit on the gray side, and what I would recommend is, if your home is not already painted in neutral colors, to use that to paint throughout. So that will probably be the biggest expense, because we're not doing any major renovations, but I can't tell you the impact that paint and caulk have, and it comes pretty cheaply. Paint and caulk aren't that expensive, but it can really just make things look white and bright and fresh and smell good, and just give people a really great feeling upon entering your home and seeing everything as neutral as possible. So a couple other things that I want to talk about are kitchens. Kitchens are the most important room to sell a house. So we really want your kitchen to be not only immaculate, but also barely anything on the countertops. So this is a perfect example of what staging is. We want to pretty much get everything off all of the countertops and then add very little. Like, what I recommend adding is a big bowl of lemons on the countertop, and really having close to nothing else on there, but a big bowl of lemons. So whether you use fresh lemons or you get these lemons, you can buy them off Amazon. I actually have some, so if I'm not staging another house with them, I'm happy to use them in your house. So I have a couple of my own staging supplies that I can bring in as we work together. So having that big bowl of lemons, it's nice, it's bright, it's fresh. And so either getting them from Amazon if they're not real lemons, or getting them from a farmer's market, either way, a nice, bright, fresh bowl of lemons is a great selling point. It just makes the kitchen feel good. And another thing is just new towels there, whether we fold them up and we put them on the counter, but we will work together, and I will help you decide what to do with these items as we work together as a seller agent team. So the other room is dining room. So a lot of times there is so much furniture. Like, people have so much furniture that they really don't need. So when we work together, I'm going to recommend probably eliminating certain pieces of your furniture. And by eliminating, I don't mean let's get rid of them, let's throw them away. These are things that you use, but with me as your agent, you're going to be moving very soon. So these are items that you can, along with the boxes, either put them in a garage, in a basement, or rent a storage bin. So it's not going to be anything long term, but more than likely you might have some pieces that you really don't need in your house that we really want to sell the space and just make it not only white and bright as possible, but also as clutter-free as possible. And that includes furniture. So in dining rooms, a lot of times people have this huge dining room table with like leaves and like 8 chairs. So What I'm going to recommend is just, if it's a smaller dining room, is to take out the leaf, store that away, and use just 4 chairs. If it's a big dining room and we really want to show how expansive it is, then I recommend keeping all the chairs and adding the leaves. So as we work together, we will go through this all room by room and determine really what highlights the assets of the house in the best manner. So with bathrooms, cleanliness is number 1. We need to give that thing a good scrub. So clean the bathroom and take almost everything off of the countertops. If you can't take it off the countertop and it's just driving you crazy to keep it in a drawer or in a basket under the sink, then keep a small tray. Just try and keep maybe 3, 4, 5 items on the small tray on the countertop in the bathroom. We want to eliminate rugs, especially if you have like nice flooring. We really want to show off that flooring. And we may bring in a new rug, but more than likely, like a freshened up group of towels and rugs really does amazing things for bathrooms. So we want it to look as spa-like as possible. So I'm going to recommend big white fluffy towels and a nice neutral colored new rug. So get rid of the old stuff, give it away, throw it away, whatever you need to do, or pack it up and move it to your new house, but really white, bright, and fresh. Shower curtains is another thing. You can pretty inexpensively for like, I think it's like $12 at Home Goods. You can get a nice white, bright new shower curtain. So you don't have sliding doors on your shower, then get that nice white new shower curtain and really your bathroom will show so much better. So that brings me to outside. So the first glimpse that someone is going to have of your house is from the curb. So when they pull up to the house, I've had people that I've pulled up to houses with that they're like, I don't want to go in. I don't want this house. I don't like it. So we really need to set that initial feeling of this feels great. I can't wait to imagine people pulling up for Thanksgiving dinner. I can't wait to imagine my friends and family coming to visit for my housewarming party. So we really want buyers to have their initial first glimpse of your house to be very positive. And a lot of times that means just trimming vegetation. So if you have bushes that are sort of partially hiding the windows, a lot of times living in a house, we don't even notice. We don't even see these things. And there are bushes growing over the windows, so you can't really clearly see the windows. So we want to take care of that, hire a landscaper, do it yourself. If you need help with that, let me know. I have people that I can recommend. And we really just want to have that initial impression to be really incredible when they pull up to the house. So whether you get like big pots of flowers are very pretty. And if you use potted items, then you can take them to your next house too. So whether it's a small evergreen tree that you have that's like docking the front door, or if you get a pot of flowers, either way, you can bring it to your next house, and that way the expense won't seem too much. So with that being said, the agent that shows your house is going to be using a lockbox. And while he or she is getting the key out of the lockbox, the buyers are going to be looking around. So I recommend making your front porch, your steps, whatever it may be, to really look terrific. Like a lot of times there's spider webs out there. We don't even recognize it. We just live how we live, and there's spider webs on the front porch and we don't even realize it. So let's go ahead and sweep them all away, as well as sometimes paint the front door. So if the front door is in need of some love, it can really make a good impression if the front door is newly painted. If you need help with deciding on colors, I'm here for you. I am a full service real estate professional, so I'm happy to help you give recommendations on not only professionals that can help us with all this, but also on colors for paint and flooring. So when you make that look nice out there, you put a nice pretty wreath out there, it really gives the impression that this house has been well cared for and what they can expect to see inside. So lastly, setting the stage. So we did all that. I know it's a ton of work, but I have to tell you, it's worth it. It's going to really help to sell your house for the most amount of money, and not only sell your house, but have people be able to stick with that house and not be emotionally impacted throughout the transaction by things that may be potentially scary to them. So we really need to keep them emotionally involved, and by doing all of this, it is so worth it. So when you're setting the stage for showings, this is what you would need to do. turn on every light. I know it seems crazy. I know it impacts your electric bill, but it is not going to be very long that you are on the market. So we're going to turn on every light, turn on every ceiling fan, use essential oils, get a diffuser and use essential oils to make your house smell incredible. So I've done a lot of research on what makes buyers buy, and that's because I also have a company, Sharon Buys Houses, and I buy houses for rentals and rehabs, and I really want to make a big impact on these houses because I want to sell or rent them as soon as possible. So when you have a house on the market, smells are so important too. It's not just the way that the house looks. We want to touch all of their senses. So smells are really important too. Now, if there is an aroma in your house that needs to be solved, we will do that before we put it on the market, whether it's from an animal, whether it's from smoke, whatever it may be. We need to address that, and there's different ways that we can do that. We'll talk about it if we encounter that situation and that aroma is eliminated. We want to bring in something fresh and clean. So the scents that buyers prefer the most are cinnamon and vanilla. So you can buy cinnamon or vanilla essential oils and have diffusers, which would be my recommendation. Have one on each floor or even a couple in the different rooms. Or you can put a pot on the stove prior to the showing and boil cinnamon sticks, and vanilla extract will do the same thing, but it doesn't stay around as much as having a diffuser does. So that way you don't have to worry about like having candles lit, which I don't recommend going out and having a candle lit. But using diffusers or we're boiling cinnamon and vanilla before the showing. Some people bake cookies, but that's a lot of work. You're probably going to have a lot of showings. So we don't want this to be so labor intensive that you won't end up doing it. So along with the way it looks, the way it smells, the way it sounds is important too. So what I recommend is having jazz music playing. So something either classical or jazz, something soothing, not elevator music, but something like sort of peppier than that. But if you want recommendations on that too, I have playlists, so I can help you out with that because I use them in my own houses to sell them quickly as well, and I'm happy to lend my expertise to you. So if you want recommendations on the sort of music that you can play, let me know. But we really want to hit all of their senses, like what it looks like, what it smells like, what it sounds like. So if you're thinking about selling your home, let me know. I'm happy to help you with all of this to get from where you need to be, to get from where you are to where you need to be when it comes to preparing your house for sale. So I'm a licensed agent in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and I also buy houses. So I have a company that buys houses for rehabs and rentals. I'd be happy to make an offer on your house as well, or we can just go ahead and list it on the open market. So I'm looking forward to working with you soon. Please comment below if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. I am very communicative and reachable, so I'm happy to talk with you about selling your home, what you need to do, and you can reach me. My contact information is in the description below. Thanks. Bye.